The first time I set foot in the palace of Verona, I swore I felt the weight of 10,000 years of empire pressing down on me. Every corridor was vast, hewn from slabs of black stone laced with silver veins that pulsed faintly with energy. The guards who lined them stood motionless, armored giants with halberds taller than I was. I knew I didn't belong there, and yet I had been sent. "Human soldier," Ambassador Kesrel had said, his scaled hands folded behind his back. "You are to escort the young heir to the throne during the renewal festival. The Queen insists on it." I had almost laughed. Why would the most powerful empire in 3 sectors request a single Terran infantryman to watch their heir? I wasn't special, just Corporal Daniel Hale, discharged from the Terran Marines after the Battle of Epsilon Ridge. Maybe I was quick with a rifle. Maybe I had survived things I shouldn't have. But this was different. The child was the daughter of Queen Cyril, ruler of the Sealand Dominion. A single misstep in my duty could start a war. Beginning a child among wolves. The renewal festival was the most important ceremony of the year. Dignitaries from across the stars had gathered in the palace's grand atrium, a chamber so large that ships could have docked inside. Stained glass windows stretched from floor to ceiling, glowing with the light of alien constellations. The Queen sat on her obsidian throne at the far end, regal and untouchable, her emerald eyes sweeping the crowd like twin blades. She was beautiful in a way that made your chest tighten and your instincts scream at once. And then there was her daughter. Princess Lyra was small, barely up to my waist, with pale silver skin and hair like spun starlight. She had the wide, curious eyes of someone who had not yet learned fear. The court called her the flame of the future, but from where I stood at her side, she was just a kid tugging at my sleeve every few minutes to whisper questions. "Why do humans wear so much cloth? Doesn't it feel heavy?" she asked once. "Because we get cold easy," I whispered back. "Our bodies don't have natural armor like yours." She giggled, covering her mouth like it was forbidden to laugh. Everyone in the hall noticed her attention on me. I felt the weight of their stares, the disapproval etched into every sneer. Humans were allies, yes, but not equals. Certainly not guardians of their most precious child. That's why, when the moment came, no one expected what happened next. The child's choice started with raised voices. An ambassador from the Crovan Union had stormed forward, his chitinous armor clacking as he demanded the Queen answer for a disputed border. The hall grew tense. My instincts kicked in, cataloging exits, counting guards. The Queen's voice was calm but sharp, slicing through his accusations. Yet something shifted. The Crovan guard at his side wasn't just a bodyguard. His mandibles twitched, his hand inching toward his weapon. I took a step closer to Lyra, my hand brushing the stun baton at my belt. Then everything happened at once. The Crovan guard lunged, not at the Queen but toward the child, toward Lyra. Without thinking, I moved. My arm snapped out, pulling her behind me. The guard's blade screeched as it struck my armored forearm, sparks flying. Pain shot through me, but I held the line. My other hand slammed the baton into his thorax, discharging enough current to drop him in a smoking heap. The hall erupted. Guards shouted. Weapons were drawn. The Crovan ambassador shrieked his innocence. But none of it mattered, because Lyra hadn't run to her mother. She hadn't sought the protection of her people. She ran and hid behind me. Tiny fingers clutched the back of my uniform as she pressed herself to me, trembling. And in that instant, the vast, echoing chamber went utterly silent. Every alien eye in that palace widened. The child of the Queen, the future of the Dominion, had chosen a human soldier, an outsider, as her shield. I could feel their judgment burning into me. I was an intruder, a lesser being in their eyes. But the girl's trust was undeniable, and no amount of politics could erase the truth that she had shown the entire court. The queen rose slowly from her throne, her gown trailing like liquid shadow. Her expression was unreadable, but her eyes were fire. "Bring him," she commanded. The trial of loyalty. I was dragged before the throne, though Lyra clung to me until her mother herself beckoned her away. Guards pried her fingers from my sleeve, but her tearful gaze never left mine. "Human," the queen said, her voice echoing like thunder through the chamber. "Explain yourself." I straightened, though my arm throbbed where the blade had struck. "I did my job, Your Majesty. I protected the princess." Murmurs rippled through the hall. Simple words, but they carried weight. The Crovan ambassador was already protesting, swearing the attack was a rogue act. Others whispered that I had staged it, that humans sought favor through manipulation. But the queen silenced them all with a raised hand. Her gaze pinned me like a spear. "You stood against death without hesitation. Why?" The answer slipped out before I could measure it. "Because she's a child. Because no one should have to face a blade at that age. Not human. Not Seelan. No one." For the first time, I saw something flicker in her expression. Not anger. Not suspicion. Something else. The queen dismissed the court. One by one, the great lords and dignitaries filed out, though their glares lingered on me like poison. Soon it was just us, the queen, her daughter, a handful of guards, and me. "You realize," she said at last, "that her choice shames us all. A queen's heir should never cling to a foreigner before her own blood. The nobles will see it as weakness. They will see me as weak." I dropped to one knee, bowing my head. "Then punish me, Majesty. Don't punish her for trusting me." There was a long silence, and then a small voice broke it. "Mother," Lyra said, stepping forward, "he saved me. No one else moved. Not even your guards." The queen's jaw tightened. She looked from her daughter to me, to the silent guards who had indeed failed to act. And then she laughed. Softly, bitterly. Perhaps the child sees truth where we do not. Rising tensions. The days that followed were a storm. Rumors spread through the palace like wildfire. Whispers of treachery, of human manipulation, of the queen's failing grip on her court. Some nobles demanded my execution. Others demanded the child be secluded until her loyalty could be corrected. Through it all, I remained at her side. Not because I was ordered to, but because Lyra refused to let me go. We spent hours together in the palace gardens, where crystal trees glimmered in artificial starlight. She peppered me with questions about Earth, about oceans, about animals, about how humans could laugh even when they bled. And slowly, I realized what she had done. By hiding behind me, she hadn't just chosen protection. She had made a statement. She had shown the court that a human could be trusted with their most precious life. That was dangerous. Which was why 3 nights later assassins came. Middle climax. The shadows strike. I woke to the sound of shattering glass. Instinct took over. I rolled from my pallet, grabbing the pulse pistol I'd hidden beneath it. A figure loomed in the shadows, armor painted black, blade glinting green with poison.